Good evening. I'm David Swotek, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. First, the Huskers are having some new talent coming in on the women's side in multiple sports. Let's start off with some softball action. It was announced today that junior catcher Jessie Farrell will be coming in for the 2025-2026 season. The UNLV transfer played 2 years with the Rebels, and in 2024, she was named one of the 25 finalists for the National Freshman of the Year. Next, for the women's golf team, incoming sophomore Jessica Jolly, love that name, will be joining the Huskers after a great first year at Illinois State. Jolly made the decision to follow her former ISU coach Brianne Hall to the Cornhusker State. Last season, she earned 4 top 10 finishes and averaged a 75.36 stroke average. Finally, some staff shifting is going on in men's basketball. Justin Moore was promoted to coordinator of analytics, and Brandon Grant and Charlie Hoiberg will be the graduate managers for the upcoming season. Moore is entering his 5th season with the Huskers after spending time as a graduate manager and student manager these past years. Grant played collegiately at Wright State and Cedarville and will pursue his master's in applied sciences. Hoiberg is joining in on the fun after spending time as a student manager for Texas Christian University. The twin brother of Sam Hoiberg, Charlie, will pursue his degree in educational administration and higher education. Timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Coming up next is Hour 1 of Sports Nightly, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Creighton's got it. Center dump. Kendra, wait, no. Nebraska bumps it again. Harper for the match. Off the ticket out. Call the grandkids. They did it. 15-10. Set 5. Nebraska keeps beating Creighton. 23-0 all time. That was a volleyball match.
Gets the snap. Back to throw. Steps, throws. Intercepted. Picked off Malcolm Hartsog at the Nebraska 43-yard line. It's his 4th career INT.
Horn has the sign. He comes set. And the 3-2 pitch. Popped up. Playable. Shallow left. Carey makes the call. Backing up. And he makes the catch on his 118th pitch. Ty Horn has 8 shutout here in the championship.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Nick Hanley, on the Huskers Radio Network.
I'm back. Happy to be back. Missed talking to you guys every night. But Nick, appreciate you stepping in. And Courtney was much needed family time and taught some swim lessons and did all the things in Oklahoma. But I'm glad to be back. But thank you for letting me do that last week.
You got off work to do other work, right? I was saying last week we need to teach you how to vacay a little bit better.
I know, right? But it's fun. It's fun. A lot of the kids we've taught for multiple years, or we've taught their siblings, and then so it's always fun catching up, and I enjoy doing it. And listen to this, though. You're going to appreciate this. One of the boys that we taught, he's got an epic name. So his dad's name, last name is Davis, and his name is Crash. So we had a Crash Davis, and his dad was a big-time Bull Durham fan. It's his favorite movie, and apparently he said I think on his first date with his mom that he was going to name his son, if he had a son, Crash Davis. And she went along with it, so I guess he found a keeper. But how about that? Crash Davis, I taught in swim lessons.
There's, the great movie Bull Durham. For any baseball fan out there, you know that. You know Kevin Costner, one of his best roles ever as the Durham Bulls catcher. And that's when we first got to learn about the Durham Bulls baseball organization. And now it's just like this completely, it's huge in AAA baseball. But there's also a local DJ, real good guy. By his on-air name is Crash Davis. He's been a local DJ for a very long time on various radio stations. So that is also a local name, too, that maybe some people think of. If they're not Bull Durham fans, they're like, oh, you mean the radio DJ guy, too? So, yeah, it kind of covers both fronts there. That's so cool. I'm hoping that young man, I'm sure he's a good swimmer and all, but I'm hoping that young man turns into quite the baseball prospect, because I'll mention something to Will Bull.
Listen, the last after this week, he very well could be the next Michael Phelps. I'm just saying, he did a great job. He really took off, so he's a good swimmer too. But yeah, baseball's it's big down there. I know he's playing t-ball too, so he very well could be on his way. But I could not believe, my mom just didn't even know where the name came from, and so we've taught him for 2 years, and so I was like, and then my dad asked about it. I'm like, you guys have never seen Bull Durham? Like, I come from a big-time sports family. I cannot believe they have not seen Bull Durham. Where does that movie rank for you? I know there's a lot of folks that consider that one of the best. I don't know if it's my favorite because I'm more of a basketball person, but where does that rank for you, Bull Durham?
Bull Durham would be, out of all the baseball movies, for me, it's probably number 3, Major League being number 1. The Natural, this is where I go old school. Natural and Bull Durham are within 5 to 10 years of each other too. But The Natural, if you want this, the comeback story of Roy Hobbs. But then Bull Durham, I remember seeing that probably at an age that I was a little, maybe too young for my parents' comfort, but I still somehow saw it. And of course, there were a lot of different things that even as you got old enough into high school baseball that you would take from that movie, as far as curses on bats and whatnot. But yeah, it's a great movie. But I would caution: make sure your sons or daughters are a little bit of age, because there's some stuff in there that maybe you don't necessarily want them quoting around their team in the preteen years, for sure. Yeah.
But no, I knew you'd appreciate that. But yeah, it was a fun week. It was a good week. Had a lot of great kids, and also said I would give a shout out to Mesa, who is awesome 6-year-old girl who's she wanted to have a sleepover. She wanted Sunny to come, my dog, to have a sleepover. She asked me if Sunny could come over and spend the night. Unfortunately, I don't know how good Sunny would be in that situation, but had a lot of fun kids, and it was a good week. So
isn't that the best? With everything that you do on a day in and day out basis with the Huskers Radio Network, and I joke when I say you need to learn how to vacate, because that's a lot of fun. You get a chance to be around the most innocent personalities, and they say what's on their mind. I get to experience this at home with my son, but then with his t-ball teams. And then we had this marathon weekend we had 2 birthdays on Saturday that we had to go to, and these were all his classmates from daycare. And those were just hilarious. And then on Sunday, we went to another one, and there are 3 completely different birthday parties in different venues, and yet a lot of the same kids, and they're just hilarious. You just sit back and you listen to the things that come out of their mouth and the way that they interact with each other, and it's so funny. So it is very rewarding, even if you're doing I say work, you're teaching and whatnot. But yeah, it's a riot. We
had one little girl that because sometimes when you start out, there's a fear of the water, and you have to work through that. And so you start out by blowing bubbles, and then hey, can you put your eyes in the water too, and all of that stuff. So we're working through that progression, and so we're like, can you put your face in the water? And she's like, I'd rather not. So that was kind of there's so many funny, I laughed so hard, but it was fun. It was good, kind of different kind of work, I guess. Sure. It really was. It didn't feel like work. I don't feel like this is work, though, either, most of the time. Yeah. So
there are a lot worse things you could do with your Monday night, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, well, enough on swimming lessons. There's been a lot of news unfold here over the last few days. It's no slow summer week for us on a Monday, but lots to dive into. We also haven't chatted in over a week, and so we're also going to have President Gold, another check-in with him coming up in hour number 2, and Justin St. Clair, track and field head coach, coming up in hour number 2 as well. NCAA championships start on Wednesday, and so we've talked about this a little bit, but right now, as it stands, the the Athletic Director Cup standings, which is a big deal at the end of the year, the Huskers are on track to finish, no pun intended, but are on track to have their best finish since 2010, and especially if track and field can have a good showing, could get a couple more points there and even maybe rise up in the standings. So it's finishing out, I guess, the competition for Nebraska Athletics, the competition year coming up this week. So we still got some sports to talk about this week, some Huskers competing, and I'm telling you, you're going to hear from him coming up. But this is a team now that mentality is changing, and you always have individuals, but they're continuing to build to where they're competing for team national titles, and we've seen them win a couple Big Ten titles. But that expectation is there with this program, like many here, that we're going to go compete for national titles individually and as a team.
And that's the. We talked about this not that long ago. We're getting into we were talking about the ball bat sports, and of course this was also during spring football too. So they're grabbing a lot of the headlines. But when we got into the track and field conversation too, of just the amount of successful athletes that they've had, and that Nebraska has been really solid. You're seeing some investment now into facilities for Nebraska too, and I'm glad you brought up the Directors Cup part of this too, because that was something that I think we all, I don't want to say all of us, but I think anytime it was brought up and you would see those rankings, Nebraska wouldn't be in the top 30, and I think we'd be able to dismiss its significance. And then we saw Nebraska start to make their way into the top 25 and start having some success. And then you really look into how impactful that is for your entire athletic department. And it's kind of cool to see that you still have that opportunity to move up, because, you start thinking about some of the postseason appearances that we saw from sports. I mean, even baseball, that was kind of unexpected with what they were able to do in the Big Ten tournament. Obviously, softball getting into a super regional, being one game away from making the Women's College World Series. So not only have we seen consistently good success throughout this athletic program throughout the year, the athletic programs throughout the year, but it's ending on a very high note. And you're hoping that track and field can kind of put that exclamation point on one of its best finishes that we've seen in the Directors Cup in a very long time, if not ever.
Yeah, I think since 2010, maybe you're talking about a top 10 finish potentially. And this is against schools that have a lot more sports. So that, again, just speaks to that about how successful of a year it was across the board from start to finish. And, and we've had some conversations recently, obviously, with several folks just talking about the momentum. And even Coach Ravel has talked about this too, but you can feel the momentum with a lot of the programs here, and they all feed off of each other and want to be great. And it's an exciting time, I think, to be a Husker. I think we're going to continue to build and finish even higher. I think, you talk about men's basketball, hopefully getting back to the NCAA tournament. They didn't contribute this year to those point totals. Football did, making the bowl game. But, I think there's a lot of momentum. It's exciting. And so you're ending on a high note. And then I know July 1 typically is the start of the new year. But we celebrate last year. But, I think there's a lot to be excited about even as we flip the calendar year and look ahead to next year.
Well, and I think a lot of that, and I know we'll get into the House settlement, but I think there's another reason for optimism around the athletic department is because Nebraska has been in a situation, this goes all the way back to the implementation of NIL, that Nebraska has always put themselves into that position of being out there in the foreground as opposed to, they've been proactive, I guess, maybe the better way to put it, as opposed to being reactive to everything. And I know so many people, I was talking about this last week, just giving an update before things got signed on Friday, of course, the day that we were off, that you had this delay, and what did it mean? And I don't think anybody was really nervous or worried that it wasn't going to be signed, but I think there was a lot of anxious folks between conference commissioners and athletic directors. But ultimately what it was going to mean was also going to be very significant. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest things that's ever happened in athletics in the NCAA's history. And so if you think about it from that standpoint, you look at the universities that have been well positioned from the get-go when you could actually pay players and student athletes anything. And as we've evolved into more modern day thinking when it comes to how to treat the student athletes and at least have some type of compensation, Nebraska's been right there leading the way. And I think that that's important. Now, that doesn't mean every program is going to benefit from it the same way that their counterparts are going to in other conferences. But the fact remains that Nebraska, probably one of many schools that had to essentially juggle 3 different budgets because they knew that the rev share was coming, but until it was signed, you had to go with the other plan B just in case. I just feel like this athletic department has done a good job of trying to stay ahead as everything as they possibly can. And I think that trickles down to all of the leaders in these programs when it comes to all the coaches. I think they see that. They see Troy Dannon and his staff working for these coaches, and that's really all you can ask for. So not only is there the success on the field, but you also have a guy that is overseeing all of this for all of these coaches. And I think I feel pretty confident that these coaches know that he's got their back and that that program itself, that athletic department itself, is going to move into this unprecedented time of revenue share as strong as anyone else in the country.
You know, a couple things on that, and even despite the unknown and then the things being delayed, and we've been waiting for this to happen. You know, we've had Troy Dannon in here for his show, obviously every single month, and even as that was unfolding, I never once got the sense that he was stressed out. Like they have had a plan in place. Nebraska is very well prepared for this new era, and you know, I think he, throughout this whole process, when figuring out, you know, how we're going to do this moving forward, he just seems very, very interested in really hearing out his coaches to that point you just made and what is needed to be successful. And I've asked him this multiple times because this has been something that people have speculated about. Oh, well, are there going to be athletic departments that maybe just go all in on 1 or 2 or 3 sports, or how's that going to look? But he's committed to competing at a high level across the board, continuing that. And so that has been something that he has, you know, had those conversations with coaches. What is it going to take? What is being said? What are you hearing from recruits? And just he wants to know so that he can continue to set up the programs for that success, and not just 3 or 4 of them or 2 or 3 of them, but he's competitive, and he wants to make sure that all of the programs here are able to continue to have that kind of success.
And I think it's going to look different every year for some of the, I guess, traditional non-revenue generating programs that you might get a little that first year, and then you're going to revisit it. And I'm sure there's also going to be incentive for those programs based on absolutely success on the field. That's going to drive that number up, and then that allows you to maybe go after some of the bigger recruits that can help you be even more successful, because you can't just put an unprecedented amount of money to some of those sports and say, okay, here, we trust you. I mean, there's got to be some incentive there too, but I think there is. There's going to be a lot of different layers to this as we go on. I mean, we're just getting the beginning stages of this, the infancy of this, that I think is just going to be so remarkable to watch develop, especially with some of those non-revenue generating sports, because we know football is going to get a large piece of the pie, and they should. We know volleyball is going to get a large piece of the pie, and they should. We know that basketball, both men's and women's, are going to get an amount of this too. Then after that, how does it look, and how do you keep a lot of those coaches that, hey, as we know, especially here in Nebraska, fans care. I mean, whether it's a revenue-generating sport or not, fans care. They show up. They're interested. They want to see success with every program. So how do you back that up financially is going to be very interesting to watch.
We were just talking before we went on the show here in the studio about it'll be interesting to see if some of that information comes out on what schools are doing. And, you know, keep in mind, too, the NIL and the money that you can make on this side is not part of the $20 million pot. Right. So you still are able to have additional income as a student athlete. It just is not going to be directly from the university like this, but think about some of those SEC teams that take a lot of pride. You got to imagine that a good chunk of the pot's going to go to some of those baseball schools. Sure. and even some of those softball schools. Yeah,
because you don't want to let another conference in on what the ACC and the SEC, and even to some degree, maybe a little bit more of the older version of the Big 12, has and was doing and continues to do. Because if you start to let off the gas on financially supporting those types of programs and those conferences, all of a sudden you open up the door for maybe the Big 10, or you open up the door for maybe the new look Pac-12. You open up the door for some of the more mid-major conferences that have good baseball and have good softball. So I think that there is going to be a lot of motivation for those SEC and AC schools, especially to make sure that they're giving a decent amount to baseball. And I think even to some respect to softball, because they want to continue to have that success. They want that blueprint. And those fans there in the ACC and the SEC, a lot of those baseball programs, they care a lot about. A lot of those softball programs, they care a lot about. We've seen the attendance, especially in those super regionals, and again, we'll see it here in Omaha in a couple of days as well. So it is. It's going to be, I think, these next 2 to 3 years on how not only those conferences do what we think they're going to do, but are there some surprises out there? Maybe not necessarily conference-wide, but are there some schools out there, maybe Nebraska, maybe some other schools in the ball bat sports that maybe put a little bit more in than some of their peers within the conference, and all of a sudden you do see the fruits of that type of labor. You do see the benefits of something like that, and all of a sudden there's maybe a different amount of success or a different type of success that all of a sudden all these expectations that we say, okay, maybe pump the brakes a little bit on this because this isn't Nebraska in the old Big 12 playing college baseball. Maybe all of a sudden there are some of those opportunities to chase down some of those bigger goals.
SEC maybe needs to spend a little bit more money only getting 2 teams into the College World Series.
There you go.
After what, they were going to have they were going to have 8 teams in it, just like with softball, that 7 teams were going to be in the championship field.
Well, they had a brutal weekend, not only in the supers, but it was in the regionals where a lot of the amount of teams that they had got knocked out before they could even possibly qualify for a super regional. So, yeah. I like that.
You want to know? I was going to say, you know what did not break my heart? That did not break my heart. You've been around me enough to know I'm kind of a SEC hater a little bit.
I haven't seen you wear your SEC shirt in a long time. So yeah.
I know. I start chanting the SEC.
Where it says, it just means more.
It's so weird to me that they do that. They chant the SEC every, like.
Can you imagine being in Ann Arbor, Michigan, or in Lincoln? They're going, Big Ten, Big Ten. I mean, it's just, it reminds me of Globo Gym in the movie Dodgeball. It's like, at the SEC, we're better than you, and we know it. It's just so weird. It's like a cult. Anyway,
it is.
I'm a homer.
All right. On that note, we got to get to a break. We got a lot to get to. I know we've got a couple questions on the chat, on the text about AJ Ferrari. Big commitment. I mean, you talk about continued success for one of those programs. It's coming off a heck of a year. Nebraska wrestling got a big commitment over the weekend. We're going to talk about that. Just a lot to get to. So keep it here on Sports Nightly. We've got more to come. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
Hey Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Welcome back to Sports Nightly with Nick Hanley. I'm Jessica Coody. We've started quite the, contributions from the chat about sports movies and baseball movies. And so we've had a few people chime in on that. And Crypto King said Field of Dreams or Moneyball. And then we have Angels in the Outfield from 4 Hours to Lincoln. And then Justin hopped in on that one. He loved Angels in the Outfield as a young kid. So Angels in the Outfield, another major league. And then we even had the Fan reference. The Fan, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That's a deep cut right there. That's an old, well, I shouldn't say it's old. I think it was late 90s. We're talking Wesley Snipes, who's supposed to be kind of a Barry Bonds guy for the Giants, and then Robert De Niro, who's this psycho fan. It's so dark. It is such a dark movie. That's such a random pull. I respect that random pull, but wow, it's not one of those feel-good baseball movies. You're like, oh, I can't wait to go watch baseball. No, it's like, watch out for psychotic fans and keep your kids away from them.
Wow, I have to look in. I never heard of that, so I'll have to look into it. But I'm glad you got a good laugh out of that.
Just watch it during the daylight. Maybe not watch it by yourself at night. It's kind of
so it's not even like a sports movie.
I mean, it is. It's about baseball. It's about Bobby Rayburn is Wesley Snipes' name.
Wow. Okay, I'll have to look into that.
It's entertaining.
A little further. Okay, so just keeping it on. I wanted to bring this up too because we were talking about my time in Oklahoma and. David had it in the ticker. Husker softball got a big pickup, and much needed addition with a catcher and Jessie Farrell out of UNLV. She'll come in with a couple of years eligibility. But that was with Ava Breadwell graduating, you had to get a catcher. So Huskers did that. A lot of that talent coming back. And it was, being down in Oklahoma with the Women's College World Series going on. I can't tell you how many people that wanted to talk to me about Nebraska softball and how many people in Oklahoma were following, obviously with Jordy Ball. But it just was cool. A lot of them were like, okay, we can't wait to see Nebraska there next year. So I thought that was pretty neat to hear. A lot of times, a player leaves and then you just move on, whatever, don't really care. But there's a lot of people that watched Husker softball in their postseason run over the last month and are excited and we're rooting for and are hoping to see Nebraska there next year.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And because I think that there's, first of all, it seemed like there was a very professional way, very classy way on both ends when Jordy and Oklahoma moved separate paths and moved on from each other. A lot of times there can be some nastiness with that. I mean, we're talking about college athletics. There can be fan bases that get involved, and all of a sudden you get into a lot of back and forth. That can be, in my opinion, a pretty volatile thing, especially when we're talking about Nebraska, Oklahoma. I mean, let's not forget about that. And so I think it just goes to show you, and I think that what you just described there too, Jessica, I think is a true testament to the type of program that Rhonda Revelle has. I think that there's always that sentiment about, and we hear this about football all the time from a lot of the diehard college football fans. And I hear from some of them when I'm, traveling with my family and we'll go out to different places, like, oh, you're from Nebraska? And they're like, oh, do you watch, are you into Nebraska football and this and that? And they always say the same thing. College football is just better when Nebraska's good. And I know there's some folks in Iowa City that probably would not say that, or there's probably some folks in Boulder, Colorado that wouldn't say that, maybe even Norman, Oklahoma. But I do think there is that respect for that brand. And I think Nebraska softball, especially for a lot of the success they've had under Rhonda Revelle, I think they feel that the sport itself is in a better place when Nebraska is competitive and when Nebraska is relevant, when Nebraska is knocking on the door to get back to Oklahoma City. So I get a lot of sense that not only does there come that just overall brand of Nebraska softball, but I think with what Rhonda Revelle and how she's built her team, and you have one of the faces of this program right now that is someone that is easy to root for. And I think you have the way that she interacts with a lot of the younger fans too, really embraces that role as a role model here in Nebraska. And I think just the way that you carry yourself both on and off the field, I think it's easy. And I don't want to make it just about Jordy Ball. I think that's just the type of players that Rhonda Revelle not only likes to attract to that program, but ones that are going to be great stewards of the program. And so I think it makes it very easy for a lot of outsiders to say, yeah, let's see. We want to see Nebraska back in here.
Yeah, and you mentioned her being a role model here in the state of Nebraska. I just taught a bunch of little girls that are softball playing little girls that wanted to talk to me about Jordy Ball in Oklahoma. So she's still someone that even the young softball players in Oklahoma very much look up to, and wanted to talk to me about her hitting, how she's batting now, and what she did. So I thought it just in this day and age when with the transfer portal, you can, okay, we're moving on, but she's still very much a big-time role model and someone that little girls in Oklahoma are still very much following closely and looking up to, and she is impacting even outside of the state big time, I think, there in Oklahoma. So I thought that was cool. I thought that was really neat. You just don't always think about that, and we appreciate here in Nebraska and what she's done, and we're captivated by her story and how she was the best hitter, and just everything that she was able to accomplish this year. But it just is a reminder too of when you step outside and then you go back and there's still so many young girls that want to wear 98 and have the headbands and just do what Jordy does. It even is beyond the state that she is very much impacting the next generation of softball players.
And it's a great reminder of that, because I think we get so inundated with it here that you sometimes do wonder, is it have that type of impact on the sport from a national perspective? And you and I were debating, not even debating, but we were kind of debating the process more than anything of how we wish that the postseason played more into the College Softball Player of the Year award, even though she won the other award where you do get the postseason in consideration as well. I mean, that's a reminder that, yes, I mean, she's a household name in college softball, but sometimes you do wonder, is it just us that are totally in the Jordy Ball mania, or is this an actual college softball thing? And when you look at being a finalist for the Player of the Year, winning the other Player of the Year award as well, one that does take into account for postseason success, I think it is another reminder, especially when you're in the mecca of college softball out there in Oklahoma City, that they're still talking about her. And like you mentioned, you have a lot of little girls that look up to her that aren't necessarily even from Nebraska. I think that tells you exactly what you need to know about her brand and what it's doing for the sport itself, which I think is incredible.
Okay, well, from one of the biggest names in softball to one of the biggest names in wrestling, headed to Nebraska over the weekend, AJ Ferrari announced his commitment that he's going to come here. He's a national champion, overall career record 51-2, was started at Oklahoma State. He was actually at Oklahoma State when I was down there at Oklahoma the first year. But went to Cal State Bakersfield last year, finished third place, but was the national champion as a freshman there at OSU. But here's a guy that was highly touted, was talked about coming out of high school, and he transfers and ends up adding to an already heck of a returning cast for Husker wrestling. So big get for Mark Manning and company over the weekend with AJ Ferrari headed to Lincoln.
Yeah, two-time All-American on top of being a national champion. Another guy that was ranked as the #1 overall high school high school wrestler when he was coming out at 96-1 in high school. That's pretty impressive. I don't know what happened in the one loss. He was probably ill or something. But and that's a significant weight class there too.
It probably was when he was a freshman wrestling a senior.
Yeah, most likely. In the 197-pound weight class as a freshman, he goes 20-1. And 10-0 as a sophomore. So, and I know that year was cut short because of injury. So you're looking at another guy that brings that championship pedigree. And this is coming off of such a strong finish. It was funny, we were talking about the Directors Cup, and we didn't even mention wrestling, how Nebraska contributed to that mightily, having 2 national champions there as well. But that strong finish, even in the Big Ten tournament, finishing in front of Iowa collectively as a team, I thought was a huge boost of momentum to end that season. And then now you're kind of picking up from where you left off. All of a sudden, now you've got even more headlines in the offseason, and for good reason, because you're bringing in flat out a winner. You're bringing in a national champion and someone that could even boost this program even more, make it that much more competitive in the Big Ten, where it's already got and made so much ground against some of the very best in college wrestling.
Just fascinating, and there's just so much momentum with that sport too. And this has been something that we heard Jordan Burroughs talking about this back during wrestling season when he was on the call for the national championships, about this has been something that Mark Manning has been building and for a long time, and you're getting to that point. He's stacked the deck now with some guys that are replacing guys, even the ones that have been in the program that are going to fill some roles that they are very, very excited about, that there is not going to be a drop-off. They do not believe it's going to be a drop-off. So you talk about just getting ready to reload, right? And this is what has been such a work in progress. And so you add, someone like that is a proven winner, huge for the program. I can't wait to talk to him. I'm working. I'm hopefully going to be in contact with him soon, and can hopefully schedule him to make an appearance coming up here over the next couple of days. But he's got a big personality, I know, but I think there's a lot of excitement. I'd say it was blowing up my timeline when it happened, and so this is huge wrestling news across the country, but seems like a lot of excitement with this because, again, you want to win, and when you talk about being second and getting closer to maybe finishing on top with that team trophy, this is another guy that can help contribute to that.
Yeah, and let's be real. There was something in the past there of why he's no longer at Oklahoma State that was later dismissed. But this is the other part of that I bring in, the Mark Manning factor. Yeah, and that is Mark Manning he's a zero tolerance type of guy. He's a no bull type of guy, and for someone who's trying to get back into that successful high major college wrestling ranks, and for someone who obviously has a championship pedigree, but you're trying to make the most out of a second opportunity, you're going to a program that isn't going to tolerate any of those real major setbacks, but is also going to be able to guide you and further guide you along that path of recovery too. Mark Manning is one of the very best there is in doing so. So he's going into a program that is going to have that structure, and he's going to be wrestling for a coach that I think is going to be able to continue that evolution, that development that obviously, some student athletes just need.
Absolutely. Very well said there. Okay, we got to get to a break. We got still lots more to dive into, so keep it here. More to come here on Sports Nightly coming up right after this.
Triple B Feed has the products to help your cows thrive. Whether it's weekly delivery of consumption-controlled Lumix liquid mineral with protein or Sweet Pro block supplements for space feeding, while also stretching your forages up to 25% better, Triple B has you covered. Let Brian and Brad Blauhorn take some of the stress out of your beef production this year. For more information and other products, visit triplebfeed.com. Triple B Feed, helping you and your cattle.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule. With your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or give us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Huskers.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Nebraska soybeans power everyday products, from Goodyear tires and Skechers shoes to soy-based turf and fire suppressants. These innovations replace petroleum and utilize other components of the soybean, leading to more sustainable products worldwide.
I'm Doug Sadoff, a farmer near Trumbull, Nebraska. Thanks to cutting-edge research, soybeans are now in everything from tires to turf. It's amazing to see how these advancements are unlocking new potential for our crops.
Soybeans are a win for every product and everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody with Nick Hanley here tonight. Again, we've had a continuing conversation going back to the first segment that I taught a little boy this week in swim lessons, or last week in swim lessons, that his name was Crash Davis. So it has ignited this conversation about best baseball movies. So Tim in Morris, Minnesota texted in and he said, I don't know if it's my favorite, but I thought The Natural was a decent movie and at least deserves to be in the conversation.
I agree. Natural's my number two, right after Major League. And the only reason Major League is my number one is because the first baseball game I ever went to was a Cleveland Indian game. And then, I'm an impressionable 7-year-old. And then 2 years later, the movie Major League comes out. I'm like, this is kismet. It's meant to be. Because all my friends were either Royals or Cubs, Cardinals. My next door neighbor was an Astros fan. He was like a random Astros fan. Because that's in Omaha. You're there for the taking. I mean, you could root for any team because other than the Omaha Royals or Storm Chasers now, there was that affiliation to Kansas City, but we didn't have an actual Major League Baseball team here, so everyone was splintered. I was one of the rare Cleveland fans, so that one will always be number one to me. But he's right, The Natural is fantastic. Apparently, your list is exactly what it would be if you put into Chat GBT. So did you just copy and paste it from there? No, Crypto said that. No, there's no way Long Gone can be in the top 10. I don't know many people who know the movie Long Gone. It was a HBO original release in the 80s. And so I think there was probably the majority of my list was in Chat GPT, but not long.
Apparently exactly the same ordering, too, so. Did you actually watch these baseball? I'm kidding. Of course you
smart.
did.
I guess, you know, I'm a beautiful mind. What can I say?
But listen, so now they're in on football movies, which we could save that for another slow summer day, because I'd be curious to see if your chat GPT would be the same list of overall sports movies. If you,
I guarantee you, it would not. Guaranteed.
What a teaser. We'll have to get to that at some point. Okay, we're going to go ahead and work in our final break, but I got a couple more things I want to hit on here in hour number 1 of Sports Nightly. The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Back to wrap up hour number 1 next.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Welcome back. Final segment here of hour number 1 of Sports Nightly. We continued the conversation, even though I said I wasn't going to do it. We kept talking into the break because I asked you about Major League, if you like the other 2. And then you said that should not have been a trilogy.
Yeah, the third one was horrible.
Here's another text coming in. How about Sandlot? Sandlot also a solid. Is that on your list?
Yeah, it's in my top 10. I think I had it 8 or 9.
That's also a good one.
What does Chat GPT say?
You get the interns on that Chat GPTing everything that we bring up. But the one sports trilogy that did not disappoint as it went along, and one of my personal favorite sports movies, was the Mighty Ducks series. They did not let down, and I think D2 was the best one.
D2, you know, it could be one of those rare, the sequel that actually supersedes the first one, the original. Usually it's very hard for the sequel to ever outdo the original, but you might be onto something. I think Godfather 2 outdid the original, and I think you could be onto something. Mighty Ducks 2 might have, because, I mean, you and I were talking about it, that rivalry between USA and Iceland. Wolf the Dentist Stanton. I mean, that mean coach. I mean, there was a lot of things going on there. And it's country. We're talking about country.
It kept you on the edge of your seat the entire. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that soon. I'm not really even a hockey. I'm not a big time hockey watcher, and that's one of my. I love the Mighty Ducks series, all of them. I loved all of them, and it was one of my favorites growing up. So, yeah, we have gone off the rails here. But there's a lot of...
It's a summer show.
Yeah.
Welcome to summer.
Right? But you throw in, like, the basketball movies and then the football movies. And, I mean, so there's a lot of discussion there. It always ends up being a pretty big discussion once you bring up a sports movie. But my all-time number 1 is Hoosiers, by the way.
Good one.
Okay, so how about we mentioned this a little bit in the first segment, but the College World Series field is shaping up. Just 2 SEC teams. We're awaiting one that could be a Cinderella team. You have an update on that score, right? With Duke and Murray State?
Yeah, I believe right now it's 2-1 Murray State. Did that change in the last 5 minutes?
I haven't looked. I don't have it pulled up. But how about the field? If someone would have told you that this would have been the field, before this thing started, what would you have said?
The only team, and because we got a chance to see them, and they were dominant on Friday, North Carolina being denied a trip to Omaha actually was surprising. I give Arizona a lot of credit. They just got walloped on Friday. Then they bounced back and win the next 2 games against North Carolina in Chapel Hill as well. Not an easy place to play. So I thought that was a bit of a surprise. I knew the Arkansas-Tennessee one would be entertaining, but I thought Arkansas, the way that they were playing, that didn't surprise me as much. Oregon State a little bit, and not because Oregon State is by any means any slouch, but Florida State was also playing pretty good baseball too. So I thought Florida State could still go into Corvallis and win that one. I'll be honest, just because now this actually makes Nebraska look a lot better. UCLA going to the College World Series. I knew UCLA was a great team, but the way UTSA was playing, I almost thought. In fact, going into the Super Regional, I thought UTSA might win that 1-3. So I was a little surprised that they didn't get it done. But everyone else, not shocked at all. Now, if what Murray State did yesterday, putting up 19 runs against Duke, and now they're up 2-1, if they pull that off, not only is that going to be Omaha's team, because that will be the true Cinderella, but also that is going to be an impressive feat what they accomplished there, taking down Duke as well. I think that's awesome. So that's going to be a team that I don't know if they're just a Cinderella team. It could be shades of Coastal Carolina when they won the national championship a couple years back. That Murray State not only coming to Omaha, but coming to play. Business trip for Murray State if they can hold on and beat Duke and make it.
You mentioned UCLA and how that looks good for Nebraska, but how about Oregon State? They win that series. Yeah. People might have forgotten about that. That was a big weekend for Huskers,
Two teams in Omaha, and the last time we saw UCLA in Omaha, what was going on? Nebraska was celebrating a Big Ten title over them after shutting them out.
Nebraska should be there by default.
Exactly. Why not? Is it too late?
So are we going to go and chant Big Ten for UCLA? Get the Big Ten chants going there in Omaha?
I love it. I want to wear a Big Ten shirt with UCLA colors. So it'll look like I'm rooting for UCLA, but I'm actually rooting for the conference, and it just happens to be the lone representative. So I think we should do that. Just get some UCLA, the powder blue Big Ten logoed shirts, and just start the Big Ten chant.
I know there's a Nebraska tie with Arkansas, a couple Nebraska ties there, but is there, I know this is always a fun discussion when this happens and Nebraska's not in the field. Okay, who are we adopting? I feel like this is going to be a little bit more of a tougher decision for folks this year.
Well, LSU's always going to be a fan favorite. They have been for decades because their fans are just fantastic. They are hilarious. They will feed you some of the best Cajun food you've ever had at their tailgates. So there's always going to be a rooting interest in Omaha for LSU. There's no question. And like I said, if Murray State beats Duke, I think that's going to be the other part of the cheering section as far as local fans that are just looking to adopt a team. I think Murray State would be that team. Nothing against UCLA or Louisville or Oregon State, but yeah, I think it's basically going to be LSU, and if Murray State pulls it off, Murray State. There's probably some people who still think Coastal Carolina is a Cinderella team, which they're not. They've already won a national championship, and they did it recently, so Coastal Carolina is a great baseball player.
No, but I think maybe people might go default back to cheering for them because they cheered for them once. You might still have some T-shirts or something.
If Duke wins, then yes, you're probably right. If Duke wins. But if Murray State wins, people are going to be all about Murray State.
So, okay, who's going to win the shot challenge then? LSU?
Oh yeah. Not even close. In fact, I'm looking at those teams right now. I don't even know who would challenge LSU right now in the shot contest.
Maybe Arkansas.
Yes, they would. Actually, you're right. Arkansas will. They won't win, but they'll be a worthy opponent.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Good stuff there. We'll continue to talk about College World Series, obviously, all throughout the week. And you're going to be up there, right?
I'm actually going to be up there just as a fan.
Oh, cool. Awesome. All right. We got to get to a break. Hour number 2 of Sports Nightly coming up. Come on back.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing, you pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Good evening. I'm David Swotek, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. First, the Huskers are having some new talent coming in on the women's side in multiple sports. Let's start off with some softball action. It was announced today that junior catcher Jessie Farrell will be coming in for the 2025-2026 season. The UNLV transfer played 2 years with the Rebels, and in 2024, she was named one of the 25 finalists for the National Freshman of the Year. Next, for the women's golf team, incoming sophomore Jessica Jolly will be joining the Huskers after a great first year at Illinois State. Jolly made the decision to follow her former ISU coach Brianne Hall to the Cornhusker State. Last season, she earned 4 top 10 finishes and averaged a 75.36 stroke average. Finally, some staff shifting is going on in men's basketball. Justin Moore was promoted to coordinator of analytics, and Brandon Grant and Charlie Hoiberg will be the graduate managers for the upcoming season. Moore is entering his 5th season with the Huskers after spending time as a graduate manager and student manager these past seasons. Grant played collegiately at Wright State and Cedarville and will pursue his master's in applied sciences. And Hoiberg is joining in on the fun after spending time as a student manager for Texas Christian University. The twin brother of Sam Hoiberg, Charlie, will pursue his degree in educational administration and higher education. Timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Coming up next is the second hour of Sports Nightly, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Tight formation, turn, toss it off to a little end around by Barney. He's at the 10-5, touchdown Nebraska. Jatori Barney slips in there, taking the pitch on the end around from 10 yards out. Nebraska stretches the lead to 20-3.
Pickens with a 1-2. Bland rolls the ground ball to third. Gibson charges, backhand stop, throw the first, the throw, wild, runner safe at first, Squire scores, now Lauren Cammon's in around third, she dives in safely, the throw wide of the plate, Bland around third, she's gonna score, everybody scores, a Little League 3-run home run for Sammy Bland, 3-1 Nebraska.
Between the circles now to Wooster and to Morgan. Back to the basket. Comes left. Dribble handoff to Esijan. Took a bump. Drives it. Puts it up. Got it! Holy smokes, what a great goal by Connor Esijan. He's not just a three-point shooter, my friends. 70-67.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Nick Hanley, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Sports Nightly. What am I even talking about? I'm distracted. We've got a baseball game going on. We finally got the TV going. With Nick Hanley, I'm Jessica Coody. It's a 2-2 game now in the top of the 4th. So we've got a tie ball game. So it's not looking good for the Cinderella team.
Oh, it's tie game. I mean, come on.
I want him to not lose the lead at all, though.
You want a stress-free Murray State victory, don't you?
Yeah, I want it to be like 19-1. So
okay.
But I would probably root for Murray State and UCLA if Murray State got in. If Murray State does not, I will just be a UCLA fan.
Will you be down at any game?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So
you go to Rockos to the shot challenge?
You brought up a good point. What if, that thing really took off last year, I feel like. I know it's been developing and growing for the last few years. In fact, my first year that I was here, when I started back in 2021, I remember it happening, and I went down there for the first time ever. And remember it starting to kind of get bigger. And then last year, I went on a couple of radio shows in Oklahoma, and people were asking, what is going on with the shot challenge? And so I can't wait to see if it's still as big a deal as ever, if it's bigger than last year. But you brought up a good point on the chat, though. If Nebraska makes it back, that they will set a record that will not be broken. I will just say that.
Yes, it would be an unbreakable record. LSU, I think, has the record, and 2 years ago when they won the national championship, it wasn't even close. And I think what brought that a lot of attention when LSU and the Paul Skeens team won was now I might be off on this. This might have been a different team if it was, or a different fan base, and if it was, I really do apologize. But I remember whoever won it 1 year, and for whatever reason, I think it was LSU, because the owner of Raising Cane's, or CEO of Raising Cane's, came to a game and put a truckload of money into the shot challenge. I think I think Rockos, what they do is they donate part of those, the money they get from the shot challenge, those proceeds, to various charities throughout the area. So I think it did get a little bit of a little bit more hype because it is actually going to a good cause, not just all of it to the bar itself, but some of that money is actually going to charities, which is fun. It's just more reason to have a shot and feel less guilty about it, I guess.
And another competition to follow while you're there. If you're not,
exactly.
If you're not into the baseball, you can follow along with the shot challenge. We had basically an hour-long discussion. It kept coming back up about sports movies. It started off as baseball movies. Dennis chimes in on the text line and says, Slapshot. Movie is Slapshot.
Oh, yeah. So if we're talking hockey movies, Dennis is right. Slapshot is I think, is the GOAT when it comes to hockey movies. There's also another movie. Again, this is one that some have seen, some haven't. And if you have, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you need to do yourself a favor if you do like hockey movies. The Goon, or Goon. It's got Stifler in it from American Pie. And when I heard he was in a hockey movie, I'm like, what? And one of my buddies swore by it, said, you've got to watch it. It's good and it's really funny, but it's actually got some good hockey in it. I was hooked on it. I've watched it so many times since. Goon, very, very good.
You're quite the movie buff, I'm learning tonight.
Yeah, I'm kind of a nerd.
Well, I did want to get to this before we run out of time. We're going to have Justin St. Clair coming up here in just a little bit. He's going to join us from Oregon as track and field prepares for the NCAA championships. Also, we're going to hear from President Gold coming up this hour as well. But you talked a lot about this last week. It was a big week. It continues to be a big time for Husker football with camps. They had the 7-on-7 on Friday night, and I walked through there today. They had camps going on. I know they had a specialist camp. They've got one tomorrow. The girls' camp is tomorrow, so I'm excited for that. I'm going to try to get down there and take in a little bit of it. It's a busy camp season right now for Husker football, but it seems like it was a very, very good weekend and a lot of positive things coming out from the weekend from some of those top recruits last week in the 7-on-7 challenge. The Boneyard Bash, what is it? It was Battle at the Boneyard. Battle at the Boneyard.
Yeah. And it sounded like, from everything that we were talking about, and I had the conversation with Brian Christopherson, with Evan Bland, with Damon Benning leading up to the event, that it was just going to be very unique. And that the word that I think we all kept using and coming back to was creativity for Matt Rule. Creativity when it comes to having an event that can serve two purposes. It can serve that recruiting purpose, but it can also serve as, hey, fans, do you want something to check out that's a little unique just to Nebraska, at least for now? Because as we were all talking about last week, too, there'll be some copycats, but something that's just unique to Nebraska where you have a chance to impact some of the very best high school players in the country that are going to be on our campus. Come on out. It's free. We'll incentivize the first 500 to come out. You get a cool the T-shirt was cool, by the way.
Yeah.
That was props to Adidas. Not that I'm surprised. Adidas always does good stuff, but props to Adidas on that. I'm sure the Fairbury hot dog was fantastic. I know that probably hit too. But, yeah, I mean, everything that I had heard from the amount of talent, a nice little following that showed up too. But, I mean, you saw Cam Newton's team that was there, Cam Newton walking around. But the impression that the facilities and that just the overall Nebraska football program, the impression that they left on a lot of these guys, and you and I talked about this too, for guys that maybe haven't even considered Nebraska, or strongly considered Nebraska, or even ones that are considering Nebraska, there was no way you walked away from that not being impressed with how they put that on. And it sounded like from a lot of the reviews from some of the players and even coaches that this was a very uniquely awesome event that they pulled off.
Not surprised. I mean, the crew that they have running things, and Dr. Elza and just the camp staff, they do everything top notch. And so I'm not surprised that it went off as well and it was executed as well as it was. But one of the things too, do you remember there was a time in conversations in recruiting that people were talking about facilities were not as important to these recruits? I think that it's absolutely part of the conversation here at Nebraska just because of the facilities. And it's one of those things too, and every time I take somebody around new that's seeing it for the first time, you can see videos, you can hear about it, whatever, but I just don't think you can really get a grasp of how much of a role that could play in your development, in maintaining your body, just all the bells and whistles. Yeah. And so I think that is a huge part too when you get some of these recruits that are going everywhere, all the top programs in the country, and they're coming here and saying there's not a place in the country that has what Nebraska has in terms of facilities. Yeah. Another huge positive too, that they can actually see and get a sense and feel and walk around and those facilities and really see themselves in this place and what it can do for you and your development. You just can't you can't get that feel and that wow factor, I don't think, from videos. As well, as good of a job as they've done documenting it, it just does not compare to when you get to see it in person. And you can attest to that.
I was just going to say that when you and Josh were showing me around back in, what was that, January, I think? It was, and I didn't get to see everything, like all of the internal fine details. I got to see it, what I would consider the outer shell of it, and even that was impressive. The training table obviously speaks for itself, but just to kind of walk around and see a lot of just the basic stuff. When I say basic, it's basic compared to some of the other great things that they have, but it's still amazing. It's eye-opening. So taking it in from a casual standpoint, like I was in January, and I'd seen pictures, I'd seen videos of all of the different things that they have, that the student athletes have at their disposal, and you're just blown away with all of those opportunities. But when you get a chance to see it yourself, the pictures, the videos, they don't do it justice. When you see it yourself and just the scale of that complex and all of the different things that are so cutting edge, it's a head spinner. I mean, it really is. And so I can only imagine what a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kid would be thinking, seeing that for the first time, realizing like something this big actually exists, and it exists in the middle of the Middle West. It's right there in Nebraska, where again, you're just trying to knock that stigma of, I just thought it was all cornfields and everything. But hey, look at this gem. So yeah, I know how I was blown away just seeing some of the basic functions of everything there, to be able to see a lot of those finely tuned details that they have that makes this thing stand out. I can only imagine the type of impression that left.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to let you get out of here because we're going to talk some track and field with Justin St. Clair next. We've got President Gold coming in, but you're back on with us tomorrow night, and so I'm sure we'll have more movie discussions coming up tomorrow here on the show.
Sounds good.
Have a good night.
You too.
Nick Hanley joining us here on Sports Nightly. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Coach St. Clair up next here on Sports Nightly.
This season, step up to the plate with exceptional offers at Woodhouse Ford. For a limited time, you pay what we pay, with exclusive employee pricing on the full lineup of award-winning vehicles. From the built tough F-150 to the versatile Bronco, it's your chance to drive home a new Ford with a deal that truly knocks it out of the park. View inventory and our exclusive offers online, or visit Woodhouse Ford at our 3 locations in Blair, Omaha, and Plattsmouth.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens.
I'm Jason Pinky, a farmer near Craig, Nebraska. Soybeans are vital for feeding our livestock, and they're also a powerhouse protein source for people worldwide. Our world needs protein, and Nebraska soybeans are making a difference.
From tailgate grills to global plates, farmers deliver affordable, nutritious protein to build muscle and energy for everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Welcome back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody, Hour 2, and we've got a big week ahead this week for Nebraska track and field as 14 total athletes competing in the NCAA championships in Eugene, Oregon, starting on Wednesday through Saturday. So we're going to get a preview of that. I know a lot of expectations for this program as they continue to have a lot of the top athletes in this sport. So we welcome in the head coach, Justin St. Clair, joining us from Eugene, where you said it's pretty toasty there today.
Yeah, they turned the heat up. There's no doubt about it. We, like I was saying, we walked off the plane and it was quite warm. And then today's another very warm day, record highs, pretty much. And it'll cool down as the week kind of progresses. So it will end up being, really nice competition weather. So we'll take it while we have it, but we look forward to it being just a little bit cooler.
I bet. Well, appreciate your time. I know you're balancing practicing and getting your athletes ready, and you got a number of them that a lot of them should be in even individual national title hunts. So I guess overall, the group, 14 of them, how do you like where the group overall is at going into the NCAA championships this week?
I think we're sitting in a pretty good position. The athletes that we have competing, they've been very consistent throughout the entire year. And I think that's the most important piece, is to really consider that is, hey, where are you throughout the whole year? What is your level of consistency? Because now you're walking into the championship meet and you've been very consistent. And those marks have been very consistent at a very high level. So this kind of step into this championship and compete the same as you have been doing the whole time. Don't over-try. Don't think you have to do something extraordinary. Just go out and do what you've been doing. And everyone's going to fall into a really good position.
We had Arthur Peterson on a couple weeks ago after the Big Ten championships, and he had mentioned then that, being that the Big Ten championships was at that track that you're at this week up there in Eugene, that is beneficial. How helpful is it that you just recently got a taste of the elements and just running and competing up there?
To me, those are very valuable experiences. One, just to kind of be in the environment, the facility, but also just being acquainted with the neighborhoods, the path of driving from the hotel and how long it actually takes and where the team tents are and where the medical tents are. That way, there's just way less stress involved. If you are not really comfortable in those environments and don't know where and how to navigate all those little things, it can be stressful. So the goal is to eliminate as much stress as possible for everybody. And being here for the Big Tens, that really, in my opinion, helps kind of iron those type of things out.
Well, I wanted to run through a few of the athletes, some names we know very well, we talk a lot about on this show. Let's start with Tyus Wilson looking to defend his indoor national title that he won a few months ago. What's I know the goal is always a national title, but what does Tyus need to do to, again, be up there on top of the podium here this week?
Yeah, it's one of those, it's very difficult to repeat from an indoor season to an outdoor season. Tyus is a very competitive individual. He's very consistent. So he has those things kind of in his back pocket. As long as he goes out and just does what Tyus does, great things are going to happen. And he's a very kind of, in my mind, from observation, just watching, he's a very calm and collective competitor. He doesn't get too up or too down. He feels comfortable. Hey, I might miss a bar, and feel comfortable coming back and going at it and making it on the next one. And we kind of experienced that through the indoor season at the national championships. His back was against the wall, and he had one attempt to clear the bar. He cleared that bar, and suddenly, like a whole new kind of person stepped in, and he just got really comfortable and just commanded the competition after that. So, you know, he's a very seasoned athlete, and I think he's going to take his experiences and just run with them and kind of do what he does.
All right, let's stick with the high jump. Jenna Rogers, the Big Ten champ, recently won a Big Ten title, but eighth national championships that she's going to be competing in between indoor and outdoor. I mean, I feel like at this point you can just pencil her in. She shouldn't even have to go through the qualifying rounds, but just her career and what she's done and all the All-Americans and accolades, I mean, can you even describe just the impact that she's had and just how special it is for her to have been so consistent during her time as a Husker?
It is. Watching Jenna is so fun because she's a very competitive person and brings such good energy to the competition. And like you mentioned, 8 times she's been to this meet. She's competed multiple times. She's been a third-place finisher at the Olympic trials. She has had so many great competitions, and, you know, I think it's her time to just be on top of the podium at the very top place. And she's so important to our program, and she's been a true blessing over the years. And she's not only just a great athlete, but a great person and just somebody that we will miss dearly, you know, as the years continue forward.
Okay, how about the local gal, Berlin Schutz, over the weekend, or well, when she last ran, she broke the 1,500-meter school record, a personal record. Her first time at the NCAA championships, the Lincoln East product. What's gone into her performances here and her continuing to build, and how is she setting up going into this week?
Merlin has been so fun to watch. And, you know, she's worked on the speed side of things. She's worked on the endurance side of things and kind of have tied both of those together to where she is now. And she has learned, really, her and the coaching staff, they have put together such a good racing plan. You know, if the race is like this, we're going to go out in these type of times. If the race is like this, and she really sticks to the plan, and she knows when to go, when not to go. She's a very intelligent racer, and it's been really fun just to kind of watch her kind of blossom and turn into where she is. And again, just a tremendous job.
Well, no surprise, shocker, Nebraska's got a number of throwers in the field events and shot put and javelin and all of that, discus. How's that group looking? And you got a number of athletes there that could be towards the top of the podium, right?
I do. We have high expectations. We have high goals. We're very ambitious. Our goal is to we want to win national championships. That's our goal. And whether if it's we have 3 guys in the javelin, and all 3 are very capable of doing it. They can go 1, 2, 3. They can go 1, 2. It just kind of depends on who shows up the best that particular day and who's the most ready to go. They all have the extreme talent. They're all very gifted. So it's a win-win from my standpoint. However they place, if it's 1, 2, 3, or whoever wins or whoever's second or whatever it might look like, it's a good environment. It's a healthy environment. And same thing on the women's side. Maddie and Aniko, they're both very capable of doing a lot of great things. So it's the way I look at it. It's time to be just that consistent thrower that you always are. The cake is kind of baked. Now it's just time to go eat and go celebrate and go have a lot of fun doing it.
Coach, what's the key to that? Because you have a number, and I've talked to several of them, and they seem to really embrace that, yes, it's an individual sport. You're doing it on your own, but they're competing together. They celebrate each other's success, and it's a tight-knit group, but yet they are competing. What's been the key that you found that has worked in really bringing that entire group together in that way, where it is a healthy balance of competing against each other and supporting each other?
In my opinion, we are stronger together. And the more we are working for each other and working together, the better you're going to become. The way I look at it, iron sharpens iron. And they are extremely competitive. Nobody wants to lose. Winning is fun. Everybody wants to win. But they, at the same token, they want to see their teammates win. At the same, they want to see everyone be successful. And I think it's just that's our mindset. And what's good for them is good for their teammate, and that's also good for the team. Because at the end of the day, yes, track and field is a very individual sport, but we are doing it all for the team. And our collective individual results is what supports the team to elevate to a higher level.
You have talked about that since you took over as the head coach, just we're chasing trophies. We're going after not just Big Ten trophies, but national titles and those kind of expectations, and going into these high pressure meets and knowing that you can compete at that level. How important is your athletes really embracing that and welcoming that and kind of understanding what's at hand, and that they want to be able to do that for Nebraska?
Being able to adopt that mindset is critical, and having the belief in yourself and belief in the coaching staff and belief in your teammates that you can all elevate each other to that level. It's everything. I'm extremely competitive. Our athletic department's extremely competitive, and we want to do everything we can to be the best we can be in everything we do. We're not talking just, hey, we want to be great on the athletic side. We want to be the best academically. We want to be the best socially. We want to go out and have all the most volunteer hours possible, because all of it filters in to being the best you can be at everything you do. And the more you believe that, and the more you have people rowing the boat the same direction, the better off it's going to be.
Oh, that's great stuff. What does this event look like for you? It's spread out from Wednesday through Saturday, but you've got a number of athletes. I know you have, your coaches there, but how do you manage the week and getting everywhere you need to be?
Having people that help keep me very organized on my timeline, when I need to be, where I need to be, when I need to be. Having individuals help, make sure that I keep eating, because during a track meet, generally I don't eat, I forget. And then next thing I know, it's midnight and I hadn't eaten, and they're kind of looking at me like, hey, coach, you okay? It's like, yeah, you bet. So it's a team effort. Everybody is working together, and we all have, our points of interest of what we need to do. And I come through the track, and once I'm there, I don't leave until the end of the day. And when the meet's over, I'll go home. And then I'll come back the next day and do it again, because I'm in this for everybody. And it doesn't matter how long the day is. That's my job, and that's what I'm here to do.
Hey, I saw on the Husker track and field social media accounts the athletes made some bracelets on the flight. Did you get in on that? Did you get a bracelet made?
Well, they were learning. Some were having more luck with it than others, and I was not one of those trying to embrace it. I didn't want to be embarrassed because I didn't think I was going to be able to execute it as well as they were. However, I do have one, and I'll wear it, but I did not make it.
You're so competitive, you won't even do the bracelets because you know somebody will beat you at it.
Yeah, it's. I don't know how or why, but it's always been internally for me from day one that I can ever remember. I'm ultra competitive, whether if it's in track or whether if it's cards. Often, when my wife will generally not play board games with me because if I lose, I'm too upset that it's no fun for her. But that's just my mind. I like to win, and I want to put people in a position to where they can enjoy all the work that they've put in to be able to win.
I love it. Well, what's the color scheme on the bracelet you're sporting then?
The one that I have is, it's probably not exactly the right colors, but there's a little bit of red and there's a little bit of blue mixed in it.
Nice. Well, I guess
I have a couple of bracelets that my daughter made, and yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, I guess just wrap it up. This week, you talked about it. The work's been done, right? What's the key to your athletes performing at the highest level and doing the best that they absolutely can this week?
The first and foremost kind of stems back to what we talked about earlier is the level of consistency, the level of belief, and just us as coaches, as athletic trainers, as support staff, making sure that we put them in a position where they don't need to worry about anything other than going out and being great. And as long as we can provide all those types of things, the stars will align and good things will happen.
Great stuff, as always. Appreciate your time, and best of luck this week. Can't wait to watch. Again, it all gets underway on Wednesday, and we'll be all throughout the rest of the week. Thank you so much for being here with us on Sports Nightly.
Thank you for having me, and go Big Red.
Awesome. And head coach Justin St. Clair joining us from Eugene, Oregon, as the Huskers prepare to compete in the NCAA championships this week. We got to step aside for a break. More of the show coming up after this.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra. The perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule, with your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or get us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Husker.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody, and excited to once again be joined by the president here at the University of Nebraska, Dr. Jeffrey Gold, for another check-in. Dr. Gold, thank you again for being here with us on Sports Nightly.
It is always a pleasure. I look forward to this.
Well, we're in the heart of the summer. A lot of things going on for a lot of people. Sports, preparing for the upcoming season, people traveling, maybe taking summer school internships. What do you have planned for the summer?
Well, busy time for us as well. Just as our teams are prepping for the fall season, we are prepping for the back to school and, of course, new programs, strategic planning, accreditation, and so many other areas that we, I'm sure, will unpack a bit during our conversation today.
Any vacation planned for you? When is vacation for you?
Vacation for me is any time that I can spend with my family.
Yeah.
And whether it's here in Lincoln or whether it's on the East Coast, my grandkids live in the Chicago area. It was not that long ago that my wife and I took our grandkids to Disney, which was really cool. And I got to tell you, we wore them out and they didn't wear us out. And so I would declare victory from that.
I was going to say that's a huge victory if you wore them out, not vice versa. I've heard Disney's quite the navigation to get around.
Over a course of 4 or 5 days, we ranked up almost 100,000 steps. As a matter of fact, just over 100,000 steps. And you'd think for 8-year-old kiddos, we'd wear them out, but they were raring to go.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you had talked about the upcoming launch of the strategic plan. What can you tell us about that effort, and why is it important to the University of Nebraska?
Well, strategic planning is a very, very important process, but the implementation of the plan and the accountability for the implementation of the plan is what really counts. So we have gone through the writing of 5 foundational pillars. We've gone through the writing of 16 strategies. They've been adopted by the Board of Regents in our public board meeting back in April. We've got a full set of metrics now, including where we are today. Think enrollment, research, community partnerships, financial stewardship, so many other areas, environmental impact. And now we're actively implementing that with accountability down to the campus level and down to the college level. And so that is really where the rubber hits the road, is where individual campuses, colleges, departments for that matter, individual faculty members and staff members figure out where do they fit in to this strategic planning and what responsibility do they personally have as it relates to our roles in all of these different areas. And, the answer to the question of what are we planning, we're planning growth and more growth and more growth, which means workforce production, which means research grants and contracts, which means patents and copyrights, which means creative activity and discovery, which means more public and private partnerships, and of course, as is always the case, stewardship of our very precious tuition dollars, of our state dollars, and of course, the philanthropic dollars that make this university so great.
Love that. Great stuff there. I know there's also been some conversation around joint accreditation between UNL and UNMC. What does that mean? Why is that significant?
Well, you know, before 1968, when the University of Nebraska system was created with a stroke of the pen of the legislature, UNMC and UNL were jointly accredited. And at that time, it split. But that joint accreditation will allow us to do things and to be recognized in ways that we historically have not been for the last 50 or so years. And just to give you an example, if you look at the research productivity, grants and contracts, expenditures and awards, that boosts, when we combine UNMC and UNL, that boosts us to a ranking of about 50 or 55 in the nation from a ranking of what was about 125. So when we talk about competing for more grants, when we talk about the ability to recruit and retain gifted faculty, when we try to get students from all across the country, rankings and ratings matter to a lot of people. And, you know, we've talked a lot about the AAU, or the Association of American Universities, and as you know, is widely known in our audience, we were an AAU member, a founding member of the AAU for almost 100 years. And then back in 2011, were asked to step out, actually summarily booted out of the AAU. And not that recognition and an invitation to rejoin is the ultimate goal of all of this, but we do want to be able to compete for the same things that all of the other 17 members of the Big Ten and all of the other members of the AAU can compete for, which is the top-tier faculty, the most gifted students, the best research grants and contracts, public partnerships, etc. Or put differently, how can we best implement our strategic plan for growth? It's to be recognized for the breadth and depth and the strength that we really are. And that's where this accreditation piece comes in, and that's where all of the strategic planning work that builds up to that becomes a reality.
The AAU part of it is a question that we get a lot from our listeners and viewers. What do you think the process of that? Do you have hope that that will be something that Nebraska can get back into the AAU?
Well, you know, we all hope that we can get back into the AAU, but I learned a long time ago that hope is not a plan, and it's by invitation only. There's no application process. It's not like you fill out a form and click send, and there's a 3-month or 6-month time window. And I have met with the leadership of the AAU, and they keep reminding me, Jeff, it's a 10-year process. And I keep telling them, I'm not sure I got 10 years. Let's see if we can't move this ahead. But these changes we've talked about in accreditation and building upon the excellence of our faculty, at the end of the day, this is not about administrative structure. This is about the excellence of our faculty, their academic productivity and reputation, publications, research grants and contracts, doctoral degrees awarded, and it's about the academic success of our students, our graduation rates, particularly for Pell-eligible and non-Pell-eligible students, and so many other things in between. We have to, you know, if you look at the 71 members of the AAU, these are some of the finest university systems in the country, and to be considered as part of that group would be an incredible honor. And so all we can do is to continue to boost the excellence, which I am absolutely confident we can do. What the timeline will be for them to reach a decision, I have no clue.
Fascinating. Well, the last time you were here, you chatted a little bit about this, but I understand that the board will be voting soon on the next chancellor for UNK. What can you share about that and why you found the right fit?
Well, I'm very sure we found the right fit. Dr. Neil Schnorr, you know, is an amazing individual. He was actually in the Department of Music and the band director at UNK for many years, and then was promoted under Doug Christensen's leadership to become essentially his chief of staff, and then from there spread his wings and went out to California, and then to become the president of a university just somewhat north of us, without mentioning any names, and applied for this job to come back to Nebraska. You know, he's a native Nebraskan, so he understands Nebraska, he understands UNK, but he's had the experience in other large institutions and small institutions as the president, because, you know, the responsibility stops right on the shoulders at the level of the chancellor in so many different ways. Now, some of it crosses my desk from time to time also, but a lot of it is really the vision and the energy of the chancellor. And the University of Nebraska at Kearney has had phenomenal leadership for the last year under Charlie Bisick, and for 2 decades before that with Doug Christensen. But this is going to be a very refreshing change. He's had the opportunity to meet with all the members of the board, but most importantly, to meet with faculty, staff, and students across the entire system, to meet with donors, community members, large and small corporations, farmers and ranchers, and the enthusiasm is really high. So it feels like a really good fit, and we need to roll up our sleeves and to do everything we can to make sure Neil's successful.
Great stuff. Well, June brings a lot of the athletes back to start prepping for the fall seasons, the upcoming seasons. And so I know as that is underway, there's a lot of excitement for this upcoming athletic season. What excites you the most about the upcoming fall season that we're preparing for?
Well, I'm excited about the athletic programs all the time on all of our campuses, but you're absolutely right. Summertime at once a day and twice a day practices. You know, I spend a good deal of time with our coaches. And by the way, congratulations to Danny on adding to her family. You know, really cool for her to do that and be as successful as she is in so many other ways. So I'm very excited about what the volleyball team is going to look like here in Husker Athletics. Obviously, the football program is continuing to come together. I got some time recently with Dylan Raiola, and just an amazing young man, and not just from his obvious athletic talent, but as a student, as a human being, just an incredible young man. And you know, the more time I get to spend with our student athletes on all of our campuses. I was recently with the wrestling team out at UNK because they won the Division II National Championship this year. I'm always impressed with the coaching staffs and, of course, with the students themselves. They are just amazing young women and young men. So I'll be there wearing the appropriate colors, all decked out, cheering for all of our teams. And, you know, there's just a lot to cheer about.
I'm springing this on you here, but this is the summer, and I know we'll talk a lot about this, but what an incredible season just from start to finish a year ago. Do you have some favorite moments from the athletic season for Nebraska Athletics?
You know, I've had a lot of amazing moments. I've got to travel with the teams to different championship games. I was out in Las Vegas for the Crown Championship game. I was actually traveled with the volleyball team to Louisville, and those are all amazing moments. But I'll tell you, perhaps one of my favorites is when Troy Dannon handed me the game ball in our first home game as the incoming president of the University of Nebraska system, and to look out at the fans that fill those stands and to realize what the tradition and the history has been in Memorial Stadium. I got to drop the puck at one of the key hockey games at UNO, and again, to wear a hockey sweater, as it's called. Some might say jersey, but insiders know it's called a sweater. And to be in front of that amazing audience and to cheer on the team. And by the way, they won that night, and I can't help but think I had something to do with that from the stands. Those are moments that will live forever.
Great stuff, as always. We appreciate your time here on Sports Nightly.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And President Jeffrey Gold joining us here on the show. We got to step aside for a break. More to come coming up right after this.
The game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community.
Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect that water is the reason parts of your concrete have gotten so uneven. Walkway tripping hazards, sinking pool deck, cracked driveways are dangerous threats to everyone's safety. But there's one way to learn how your concrete can be lifted. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Hey Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. Final segment here tonight. We let Nick run off a little early since we had those two interviews lined up. Duke has taken the lead 3-2 over Murray State in the top of the 7th. So we got a fun show coming up for you tomorrow. I'm currently chatting with AJ Ferrari, so we're very well, or maybe could possibly have him on the show. But Damon Benning is going to be joining us here in studio. I know he was here last week with Nick, but I'm going to get a chance to get him in the studio. And so we're going to dive into a lot of things football. I know he's a big wrestling guy, so we'll get his take on the big edition with AJ Ferrari. And maybe he'll have a opinion on the best baseball movie or sports movie. I'll have to ask him about that too. So we'll have a fun conversation with DB. We also are going to start our newcomer series this week. So we're going to start with women's hoops this week in the works of getting some of the newcomers with basketball, men's basketball and volleyball as well. So it's about to get kind of busy around here. Also, since the show started, some news has come out regarding a future Husker softball player. But Alexis Jensen out of Gretna is the 2025 Nebraska Gatorade Player of the Year. So she won it last year, so two-time, back-to-back. But led Gretna to an undefeated state championship season. Lefty pitcher, I know they are very, very excited about her. So a big honor for her. And I know she will come in and be another one of those hometown Huskers that will add to this roster. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. The text line has been popping tonight. A lot of people chiming in on their favorite sports movies. It always ends up being a big discussion. So we'll have to keep that rolling and include. We started out with just baseball, so we'll have to keep that rolling, I guess, throughout the summer months. But gig coming up tomorrow night. I will keep you posted. I got some things in the works. I was on vacation, so also hoping to get the new women's golf coach on this week as well. So lots of fun stuff planning. I know we had a text again. We seem to get one almost every night asking about the announcement with the new play-by-play. It's coming. It's coming. Hopefully here in the next couple of weeks we'll be ready to make that announcement, but it's still the process is still ongoing. So, but you will hear it first, or you will hear it here hopefully as soon as we are able to release that. All right, that's going to do it for me. We'll talk to you tomorrow night here on Sports Nightly.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Your next vehicle is waiting for you at Woodhouse. With over 20 locations and a variety of brands, Woodhouse offers everything from reliable trucks to family-friendly SUVs. Whether you're looking for a Nissan, Mazda, or Infiniti, our team is here to help you find the perfect fit. Enjoy a seamless car buying experience with our expert staff and exceptional service. Visit Woodhouse today, where quality, selection, and customer satisfaction come first. Or get started online at woodhouse.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.